Welcome everybody. Today is the fifth week. As you can see, there is five here, but I don't know where the week part. But anyway, you may understand. So we revised the object we have learned last week, and then we talk about also different loops again. Then we jump into higher order functions, and then if we have time also we talk about data objects, set and map. Yeah, I think we will have time. So let's start by opening the VS Code. And some of you had already some questions. I think you can remind me a bit later. Okay, which one is it? This is the, okay, but why we found it like that? I'm just, okay. What's happening here? Okay. Yeah, let's start by revising objects. Revision objects dot. Yeah, so last time we were declaring variables like this, and sometimes you may fade up with just writing something like this. And maybe if I'm interested to write my last name, and I may write like this. And it goes like that, age 250. Great, Motomi, welcome back to JavaScript lesson. Okay, let and is married. Yes, true. So as you can see, actually instead of writing something like this, we can change this to an object. Yeah, so object. Whenever we talk about object usually has some properties, right? If we talk about a car, for instance, a car might have a model, it may have a type, or I mean, what type is it? Is it a Toyota or Nissan? It has a color, or is it a manual or is it automatic? So all those different properties, we call these properties that describe the car, right? And if we talk about a person, for instance, if this person tall, yes, there is a Michael, yes. If we talk about a person, let's imagine that a person is an object. A person might have a property that describes the person, yeah? So property is actually a description. Is he tall or short? Yeah, and his name, first name, last name, age, or maybe hair color, of course, skin color, why not? It goes. So it's that actually properties describe that object, specifically for this case, a person. So last time we say const and then a person actually, and then we create something like this. This is an empty object. Yeah, so to console.log and person. I think this file is not yet connected or linked with the index file. So let's do that. I move this to the top, comment it out, and then again script, and then here you have to come source. What's this one? Then I have to run this file, right? Open with live server. You wait for it, and then I have to move it to this one, to the yeah, yes, great. Control Shift I, open this for me, and now as you can see we have an empty object, yeah? But instead let's add first name, and then I may be interested to write my first name, yeah? So now the object has something, and last name, and it may have my, yeah, maybe how about age, and everybody knows that 150, country, England. So we need a key and a value, a key and a value. Okay, if I am interested to know a person, for instance, to know, I mean, to extract the value, use the console.log. Person just gives you the whole object, but if you use dot followed by the value of the key, for instance, first name, it gives you the first name. Another way of doing the same thing, console.log, and then person, and then square bracket, and then inside you should have the first name as a key, like this. Yeah, great. And if you do for the last name, you get the same thing. Yes. Okay, but for instance, let's see city, Helsinki. Now, if we are interested to know, does this person has a nationality? It doesn't have actually. So console.log person.nationality. Yes, undefined. The value is undefined because it's not defined. So now let's just set the person's nationality. Person.nationality, and we can give him Ethiopian, for instance. Now so if I do the same thing here now, if I try to, yeah, I got it. And also if you check console.log, the person object, now the person object has, as you can see, age, city, country, first name, last name, nationality. So we can also set the value of the key and value after we declare an object. Okay, how about if we have some method, get person info, for instance, and then function this. So to get the person, return this. This refer to this object. This object. Let me show you what does that mean. Console.log this. I will show you by just consoling. Okay. Console. No, don't do that. Console.log and person.get info. Because you don't know what is the output from here. The output from here, because sometimes you don't know. What's the output? What? How? 27. I'm trying to show you. Yeah, have you seen? Now this I just return this, and then get person.get person.get person info gave me the object. Actually this, because this means the object itself. So for instance, I am like, if I show you, I don't know, I just turn the video. As you can see now, if I say this house, it refers to this house. And when we talk about object, and when we say this, it refers to that object. Yeah? Yeah, it means actually, it's just referring to that object. Great. So this dot first name plus last, this dot last name, this dot last name. Now it gives me the full name. Of course, we can even go further. We can get the skills. Does this person have skills? No. Let's give him some skills. HTML, and then CSS, and then some JavaScript, and some React. Yes, and then we have to have the comma, of course. Then he has also, we can say, class. Oh, please, let's go for string interpolation. String interpolation is so awesome, right? Now change this. We don't need class or something like that. And we don't need. And yes, then we may say he takes again. Yeah, again. Let me see. This dot skills join. Everything it is HTML, CSS, JavaScript, React, or knows or something, or his skills are Yeah. So this is what we learn. This is all about object. If you don't have any question about object, let's move on to object methods. But before that, do you have any question? Yes.
When you execute the last statement, you use joined. Is it equivalent to the concatenation sign?
Concat, yes, it's almost somehow concat, but concat usually concat two or more arrays or strings. But this one just changed it to a string. It's just changed this to a string. It's not anymore an array when you just join the array. Yeah. So I may just show you. Let's go here, or we can stay in here actually. We have corners, the skills, and if we put here now, yes, skills, string form. Let's just let, or you can within skills dot join. Now, if you check type of skills string, it's string, as you can see. And also if you see what it looks, yes, a string. So I want it to look like this, yeah. And even at some, if even you can add, I think one of the question in the 30 days of JavaScript, it asks you to make and in between. His skills are HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and React. How do you make that? So I will leave that for you. Great. Object methods. Any question? Let's talk about object methods. First, let's list down some of the object methods. So, has, own, property, okay, and then object dot values, then object, I think it's capital usually, object dot values, and object dot assign. I think I have to also go to my repository and exhaustively check all the available.
Was keys. Object.keys.
Yeah, actually I was thinking to say keys. I wrote it 2 times here. Instead keys, yes, thank you. JavaScript for everyone. For short reading, it's good. Object. I think I have seen it already. Object methods. Assign we have here already. As on property entries, yeah. So entries also. Entries. Great. Now I think this is enough. So has own property means to check if there is a property. We call this value. I mean this. It's not a variable name. Instead, we call it a key or a property. Okay, or sometimes an attribute. You may call it. Yeah. So if someone says a property or a key or an attribute, it refers to this. Yeah. So how many keys do you see in this object? I have asked the same question last time, so I need everybody to know.
6.
Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. How about this?
So also the function count.
Yes, the method or the function is also a property still. So to know, let's use the object keys. This really give us, okay? Const keys, and you can store them like keys, and then person, the object. You pass the person object as in an argument here, and then let's print out. Yes, this bird is making noise. Oh. Have you seen first name, last name, age, country, city, skills? Even there was some nationality. Even the I have to close the window. Okay. Okay. Anyway, so you see them right now. All the keys or the attributes or the properties together as in an array. Now let's see the values. Object values and then person. So dot log values. And now the values, as you can see, my name, my family name, age, and the country, city, and the skills. If you open this, you will see them. Yeah, these are the skills. And where is the function? The function is here. Actually, you can access the function out if you want. For instance, yes, so anyway, your function is here. Now, I want to show you how to use has own property. If first it's better to show console.log person.has own property. And if I pass first name dot name, for instance. Do you think, as you can see, it's false because this object doesn't have a name, a property, or a name key. Rather, it has first name. Yeah. So sometimes you should, for instance, I can go here. If person has property skills, first I'm checking, as you can see. If it's true, then I go person dot skills dot push react. As you can see, first I check, then I'm pushing this to that. Then if we check now console.log person object, later see and go to the skills. Have you seen now? Yeah, first we checked it. Have you seen the use case of has own property? I hope so. Let's move on. What's left actually? These are entries. Honest entries. Entries gives you keys and values as in array. Entries of the person. And let's print console.log entries. Now, as you can see, first name and last name together as in array, and what you get actually is array of arrays. Array of arrays. Yeah, it's, you don't use this much, but sometimes you may use it to solve some problem. Okay, now we are left with object.assign. Yeah, this one is really very powerful when you want to copy an object without modifying the original object. For instance, if you want to copy this person, you should use object.assign, and you need this curly bracket. So you should say curly bracket, empty curly bracket, followed by object. What is the name of the object? Person. But if you want to modify, for instance, some of the values, you can. For instance, if I want to modify the city, actually, city, I live in Espoo actually, guys. So, but I think it should be like this. Then let's see the person here. Honest person 1. So it's console.log person 1 now. If you see, this person is not living anymore in Helsinki, instead he's in Espoo. So while I'm copying, if I want to modify some of the property, I have the chance to modify some of the property of the original, but the original will remain intact or without being modified. Yeah, that is everything what you need related to object literal, guys. Do you have anything before we move on?
Yes, there was this exercise about checking which of the persons. Yeah.
I'm coming to that one.
Okay.
Yeah, because there is something I planned for that, so it will help us. Now we did the revision of the object, and let's move on revision of loops. For, while, do while, for each, for, of, for, in. Are you ready for that, guys? Shall we do that? It's better if we keep it in a separate file. Loops again, or oh, there's already revision further on, I think, because further on loops.js. Yeah, the regular loop. Regular, I think, is just what is that? Regular loop. You know that this for loop is just regular loop. So you need a for almost for anything, and you should be very familiar with it. Okay, you should really remember it right away. So you need initialization and a condition and increment or decrement. Okay, here, yeah. So you have the initialization, the condition. Yes, lots of typo. Do you care? No. Okay, so initialization, condition, increment or decrement. Let's do that. For instance, if I ask you to print out from 0 to 100, what's your initial?
0.
0. So let's start 0. So let's just kick this out and we will have only that. Actually, this is not, so it should be semicolon. You should remember the syntax, okay? And condition, our condition, this shouldn't be more than 100, right? It shouldn't be more than 100. So we should set the condition. We can go I should be less than or equal to 100 or less than 101. So every time we should increment by 1. So we can use this, the operator plus plus increment operator. So plus plus is increment operator, minus minus is decrement operator. But for now, let's do the incrementing. Yep, so we don't need this. And inside, to know what's happening, console I. So now let's turn on this. And of course, this should be also semicolon, and it's not yet connected to our index.html. Great. Why? I take this to the top, and now script, and here the source with the new file, right? That new file, revision of some, yeah. Now we should see something. Yeah, we managed to print from 0 to 100. Yeah, and last time also I told you, do you have to start from 0, guys?
No.
No, you can start from 1. Yes, you can start from 1, or you can start from a 50 or whatever. You can start. That's too much number. So why we just let's make it. Yeah. Yes, and now instead, for instance, if we can also increment by 2 actually, like this, I plus 2. So if you want to increment, like, by the way, plus plus means somehow the same as I plus 1. It's almost the same like this. Why did I thought it's 11. Okay. Great, so you can change this to 2 and the increment will change. And if you change it to 5, the increment will be, yes, 1 and then 1 plus 5, 6. So this loop doesn't give many outputs because as you can see, the increment is so big, the step is so big. Yeah, so if you want to reverse this, I'm commenting out. So like, what is that? I can have to copy this. Then if I want to reverse, tell me how do I do? So this should be 10, and this should be greater or equal to 0. And this should be decrement instead, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so now everybody knows. Great, I feel good. Oh, I destroyed my code. As you can see, from 10 to 0. Now you know how to use a regular for loop. Using regular for loop, you can solve almost anything. Yeah, so it's good to know how to use. Now let's talk about while. Yeah, while is just, I think, whenever you don't know how much you should iterate, you use while. For instance, let count is equal to 0 while count is less than 11. We should put it in a bracket. That's very, and then we have to, so as you can, this is our initialization actually. The initialization, the condition, and now the increment will be inside. Console log count, but now the count should be incremented every time. And then I will show you this do the same thing. Yeah. Here, for instance, do. Let count 0 while count is, oh, less than. Yeah. So as you can see, we printed out this using while loop. So this is the initialization, the condition, the increment. If you want to write this to actually a do while loop, this will be the same, but you change this to, somehow I prefer to comment out. I don't like to end up with a never-ending loop, so I change this to do. Just before you check, do something, and your condition will come here. While count is greater than, less than 11. Now, for instance, this gives us the same result. But the difference, this one is, if, for instance, if I put 12, it print out 12, but 12 is not less than 11. So do while loop runs at least once without checking the condition. Yes, so we finish this, the regular loops. Do you have any question?
Maybe just the difference between a for loop and a while loop. What's the difference? When would you use?
Yeah, now while loop, for instance, sometimes when you don't know for how long you should iterate, while loop allows you just to go to iterate. For instance, even you can use some condition by making something true, you know. For instance, I will show you this. Const array while array dot length is different from 10. Have you seen? I just put something this, an array, an empty array. While this is different from this one, I iterate either populating the array or just you can do. So you can create different condition. It allows you. So you don't have to know the length of the iteration, you know. But for loop, we know the iteration. For definitely for this, do you know how many iteration? We go this much iteration. So it's predefined. It has predefined and a known iteration. For this one, yeah, for this one, we can create different unknown scenarios. So don't care for do while loop, but you should really care while, because there's lots of problems you can solve using while, and some problems might not be solved by a for loop.
Yeah. Thanks.
Great. Okay, so now for reach the lovely one. Yes, great. So const. Now you should be careful, and I may show you something. Countries, where are the lovely countries we work on all the time? Yeah. Okay, where they? I don't know where they are, but I will figure out. Maybe because they're everywhere, right? If you just want to find, just get them. I was not the lucky one. Or maybe here. I thought the arrays, it should be in the arrays, right? Yes, I can see now. What's happening? Okay, well, but we can take this array. This looks good. Yes. So now if I ask you to iterate through this product, shopping cart, or I can just call them items, maybe just to make the name, or foodstuffs, or just items, okay? For let I is equal to 0, I listen items dot length I plus plus this is what you need, right? Console.log, and then you just start printing I. Yeah, let's see. I should get this back. By now I should get some index. Actually, this can be used as index. As you can see, I didn't go up to the length 1 minus the length. So as you can see, I less than items length. So I am iterating up to the last index. So I can make use of actually this I to act as an index. So, okay, hey item, come on here and let me give you this index. You see now? Yeah. Now it's up to you to do whatever you want. For instance, you can change to uppercase if you want. Yeah. So this is just for decoration. For instance, if you want to change this as in a list, okay, maybe it starts from 0, right? So proper human doesn't know, 0, why? Something starts from 0, so just add 1 and make it more human readable. It's not just for a coder, okay? So the first item was mango, and then milk, and then honey, sugar, coffee, and meat. I told you to start the DOM. We have to also display this on the DOM today, okay? So later. So now, what did you use? You used just a normal for loop. Actually, if you are dealing with arrays, there is this elegant way of also using loops. So you can say items for each index, and then the item, there should be actually, you can say function and then something like this. And then you just per console.log. Let's see what's inside the index. What is this index? Actually, I just interchanged the position. So here we have the item and here index. As you can see, this one gives us the index. And even this allows us to print out the array itself. It takes actually 3 parameters. The first one is the item, each item, and then the index. And if you are interested, even just the array itself. Have you seen? But most of the time, you don't need the last. So you just need like this. So have you seen? Yeah, but you can also just reorder. You can just add 1 plus 1 and make it look good. Yeah, mango, milk, honey. Of course, you can change it to upper again. Yeah, so this is console.log regular for loop. For each loop. Okay, something you should know. For each loop is just a method, and a method that you can use only using arrays. Okay, so you don't have to think more. Remember again, for each is something you can use only using arrays, but regular for loop, you can use it in different scenarios. Is the difference clear, guys?
Yes.
Yes. And now let's make our code even clean. So we don't need actually the function. We change it to more of an arrow function. So I can change it to an arrow. So even I don't need this because I don't have much thing. So I can just leave this. So I can have just only one. And even if you have if you are interested only in the item, you don't have to have also the index. Sometimes you may just need only that. Okay, great. Do you have any question?
Nope.
Great, so that means just move on. For of, oh, that is very good one. For of, guys, after this const, for const something item of items. That means, hey, go to the items and give me one of the item. So then console.log item. As you can see, now here in this loop, you don't have the chance to get the index because this for const by the way, you can do const or late, it doesn't matter. So const item of items, but this one, it could be, you can call it whatever name, yeah, X, Y, Z. But remember, these items means we are talking about this array, right? I hope so. Yeah, but most of the time, if it's countries, we say country of countries. If it's about language, we say language of language. Then your JavaScript will be just an English language with a proper grammar. Yeah. So then let's just keep item. Yes, so if you are interested, change it to small or uppercase, and then now you get the same thing. Mango. Yeah. So this is also with only for loop. You can use it in with object, but it's not a very good way to use it with object. Just stick into only arrays. Yeah. This is, as you can see, we have arrays, and then we are getting each item of the arrays. Each item of the arrays means this, 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 this. Shall we move on?
Yes.
Great. Then for in is meant for object. Really? Okay. So let's see. Const user. We have a user, and the name of the user might be John, and his age could be maybe 25, and his skills, maybe he may have some HTML, and then CSS, and then JS. Okay, John, and I mean this user, as you can see, has some attributes or properties, name, age, and skills. So we can iterate for const. You may say key in user. Of course, you can call it whatever name this. Then let's see, console.log, the key. Have you seen? Name, age, skills. Okay, so if I manage to get the key, actually I can extract also the value out, user, and then I just pass the key like this. Okay, name, John, age 25, skills, this. Then I think Julia asked something like this. It could be one of this question somewhere around. I think this is the question. So let's solve Julian's question. Okay, so let's read this question. Count logged in users, count. Yeah, these are the users. Okay, logged in users. Okay, logged in users means, as you can see, is logged in. Have you seen this? Is logged in means the users are logged in. So if it is true, but false, true. Okay, great. But first then equal and count logged in users, count users having greater than equal to 50 points from the following object here. Great. Now let's for const user in users. So not to make confusion with the example, so let's comment this out. Now if we print out console.log user, as you can see, the users Alex, Asap, Brooke, Daniel, John, and Thomas are the users. So the key, yeah? Okay. That is good. But what else can we do? We have just that. Actually, we can extract also users dot or user. No, I didn't console. Maybe I think it's not a good idea doing it there. I can do it here. Oh yeah, good. Let me show you. The information of Alex, email, as you can see, age 20 is logged in, false point 30. So have you seen? So we managed to target the Masab, got this, Brooke. Yeah. Who is following still?
Yep.
Great. Now, the point is actually we are collecting. I have to read the problem again. Having greater than or equal to 50 points. Count. So it's a counting. If you are asked to count something, I think we used the count word at the top, so we may have a conflict, but it's commented out. I think someone, okay, 0. Then you can say that if user, but I think I prefer to say this one like a key, because now it's acting as a key. So you can call it a key. And we're not. Then in here, we're interested in the score or points. Then let point. Every time we get different point. Let's see the points. Console.log point. As you can see, 30, 50, 40, undefined, because when I prepare this material, I made a typo. Pointers, points. Yeah, this should have also points instead of points. So join. So I have to go and make correction. Yeah, then it's the next step is it's all about comparing, right? I mean, yeah, point greater than or equal to 50. Then every time what you should do is counting. Count, you can say count plus 1 or count. And now we can say console log count. As you can see, 3. We have 50 here, 2 50s here, and another 50 here. So totally we have 3 of 50. That's 50 and above, or greater than or equal to 50. Yeah. Does it make sense, Julia?
Yes, definitely. More than before.
Yeah, so the code is also very short, right?
Yeah.
It's not as you expected, even if you want to make it to be very short. Now let's work on the cleaning, and it could be something like this, and you can just put it there, and then even you may change this to plus plus, and now you can have a very short code. Yes, this is what you need. And still it should give the same value. Is it the one? Yes, as you can see, we see. But if we are interested in the people who got this, we can have also a kind of array, and we have to push those users who got 50 and above. Great. May I move on?
Yeah.
Yes, before that, I think let me see my schedule. And I think now it looks a very good time to have a break. And then after the break to start higher order functions. Yes, have just tea or coffee and come with some more energy. Yeah, let's have a break.
May I ask one thing before going on?
Yes.
I am, well, in a way, still struggling with loops.
Yeah.
And this last one, what is shown now, the count plus plus. Does it mean that the loop will scroll all the counts, or does it mean that after? I mean, more than 50, the count more than 50, or what does this count plus plus means?
Oh, okay, yeah, because now I condense it. Okay, let's just get back. Count plus plus means all the time adding, or another way, it means like this. Every time we add 1 to the count and we store it as in count, and this will increase every time.
Increase every time means
By 1.
increase count, or the count of the person's value, or what does that really mean?
Okay, let me show you what we have. Yep. Count here. Okay, count. What's the value of count now? It's a counter. So imagine you don't have anything when you start, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Then we go to inside the loop and we found someone who has a point of greater than 50. Then yes. we add 1 because we found 1. So it was 0, then we add 1, the value will be 1, so it will be stored in here. And then again it loops, and then whenever we get a value 50 or above, it will be increased by 1. Then finally we get the number of people who has more than 50.
So count plus 1 means 51.
No. We are counting. Yeah, for instance, let me show you. I think I have to doodle somewhere. Where is it? Yes. Okay. Okay, so for instance, I got a circle here, yeah? And there's some rectangle here or something. And then I have a circle here. Now, my plan is actually to count the number of circles in this rectangle. Yeah? So I have to start from 0, right? Yeah. I don't have, I got 1 here. So plus 1. Then it's not a circle, and then, okay, I got another here, and then here. So it's like a loop. The loop checks, are you a circle? Yes, no, yes. When it's yes, we add on the count every time. We add 1. So it's nothing to do with that. Or maybe another way, I will show you another count actually. For first time, it's a confusing concept. So how about if we do it also differently? I can say array. So I can, if I can even maybe just put there the person, or array dot push the point. I can just put the point. Yes. And now if you just see array, what, or uncount reference your count, yeah, because we don't have count anymore. Yeah, as you can see, we have 50, how many times? So yes, so now we just, another way of doing the same thing. We managed to avoid the count. Then first we collect them. It's like sorting, you know, you sort them out and then you count them.
I think this is more clear than the other one.
Okay. Yeah. So now we collected them and then finally we count them. Now we see them in an array. All of them are 50 and you can count them manually or using length. But Of course, if it's really huge, you can't count them. So count is actually counting 1, 2, like that. So now let's move on to higher order function. Great. So what does that mean, higher order function? First, let's define this concept. Have you ever heard of it? Shall we define? I mean, let's say something. Higher order function is actually a function that takes another function as a parameter or return another function or a function. Yes, this is the definition. What does that mean really? You may say, okay, what is this is how you write a function, name of a function, a func, and then, are you very familiar with this structure now?
Yeah.
Yes, great. Then actually, to be a function to be called a higher order function, it should take a function, another function as in a parameter like this. Or it should return a function, like for instance, n. Yeah, for instance, this is returning a function. Have you seen?
Yep.
Yep. So everybody's like, right away, you got it. So either of the two. So if it satisfies one of the two conditions, you saw two conditions in this statement, right? Is a function that takes another function as a parameter or return a function. Okay, let's do for both. Okay, then forget about this one and let's take a func. Okay, function really taking another function, you may say. Okay, what that function could be? Let's see, const make square. Yeah, because everybody loves the make square function, right? It's so easy. So n, and let's make a very explicitly returned. Are you okay with this, like this line, one-liner function by now? Does everybody knows this?
Yes.
Yeah.
Great. Yes. So now this function actually, and it may take another n, maybe, okay. So, and it returns func. So as you can see, this higher order function, first it takes the function as in a parameter and it was called inside, it was invoked inside, what am I doing here? Inside, and it was multiplied by another parameter. It could be n or m, whatever. Yeah, so let's see the result of that function. Console. Log name of a function. It takes, for instance, since it takes a function, then I will pass this square here. Make square. Do I have to use this or not? Do I have to invoke it or not? Because as you can see here, the structure, it was not invoked. It was invoked inside. So what do you think? Without invoking, just the name, right? Let's and then anything, for instance, 2. Then I got 8. Actually, when you pass 2, 2 comes in here. This function means actually this 1. So you get 4. And then again, 2 is here. 8 times by 2, 4 times 2, 8. So we can make a cube or cube. The name could be much better. So we call this actually at the same time, we can also call the name callback. We can call this name callback. If you see if you see callback on some blog or on some video tutorials whatsoever, callback means call me back. Now this is like a kind of busy function. Now it's there, but it will be anyway called later. It's called in here. Yeah, so even we can change the name to a callback. And the callback is here. Yeah, so this callback function could be any function. So this is a higher order function, guys. Now everybody get confused, I know.
Yes, I got lost.
Yes. Let's destroy this. And are you happy with this line? Are you still alive with this line?
Yes.
Okay. Then I told you that a function, we can call it any name of XYZ. Let's call it XYZ function. Yes. Are you okay with this? It's
Yes.
just a function,
Yes.
yeah? But
Yes.
based on this definition, we say that it should take another function here. So this function has to be called, right? This one. So it's here like a placeholder. It's here just like a placeholder. Then func. I called it. Okay. Now, for instance, if I call this console.log, and if I say x, y, z, yeah, is not a func x, y, z. Func is not a func. Okay, if it is actually. So I have to pass here a value. So I have to pass something. Yeah, I have to pass, for instance, something like make square. Yeah, but as you can see, this is undefined, so it should return something. Still nothing, because it's not getting value. So it should get a value actually, and I have to pass maybe the value here. Yep, maybe I have to pass the value here. So actually this function is the make square. It goes like through here and come here, and then I passed it here as an argument. So it's just a placeholder. But this is inside. Instead, maybe it's better to have n, and we can call it this n. Maybe we can multiply it also with n, and the n should go here. Now I'm expecting 27 because it's a cube. So we got this function, it's called. So whenever I'm calling or invoking this function, I have to pass a function here. Maybe I can also show you returning. So we call this callback function. Yeah. Const, maybe another function. A function, okay, I can just turn this off. Function XYZ return. If you have here n and n, what do you think about this? Is it clear for you when you see this?
Yes.
So this is also a higher order function, a function that return another function. Let's see. Console.log x, y, z. And if I pass, have you seen what you got? I called this function. By calling this function, I got this. So I have to pass 3, but I have to invoke it again. Okay. But, okay, we have here already this. Yeah, first we have to invoke it. When we invoke this, as you can see, you saw this value. You got a function. This function needs now what? A parameter. So we have to pass some parameter. So I got 27. Of course, if you put 10, I should get 1,000. Okay, maybe I may ask you, for instance, yeah, I think this is one of the structure to return a function. But this function could be any kind of function, or you can just write it function and then just some function, for instance, print name. Return, yeah, someone's name. Now XYZ, let me show you how it looks like. What's 142? I think I removed. As you can see now, we are just getting what? The function, the inner function. So to get the inner function out, someone's name. So how about if you have a couple of the functions? Of course, in function, you can't return multiple things. You can only return how many things? One thing. So you can just return, for instance, something with some numbers, okay? I will show you this, for instance, x, y, and it return x plus y, and then product, and again x, y, x times y. Now, as you can see, what's going on here? Now, actually, we are not returning anymore. We are returning x, y, z. And we have to get this value from somewhere, x, y, z. 139. Yes. As you can see now, by just calling this function, if you call this function, I have to get this object, right? Have you seen the object? Yes, this object has product and something. Product and sum. So to get that, you can say product, and then you may pass some values. For instance, the product of 2 and 3. Yeah, 6. Or 30 to 60. Or if you just console.log xyz, and then again, you may say sum. The sum of 99 and 1, I should get 100. Yeah, I'm not sure if this is called a higher order function or not, but anyway, in that we are returning an object. Inside the object, we have different functions. When we can have many functions inside this object. What do you think, guys?
It's really interesting.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if it's confusing now, because just give it some time, this kind of concept takes some time to sink, okay? And you don't have to know the nitty-gritty of that, but it's good to know. Most libraries, JavaScript libraries, they are written something like this, okay? Kind of. So you go something, okay, for instance, I may ask you to develop a script or an application, for instance, mathematics. So, hey, you go to mathematics, and then when you say square, it should give you something. So this mathematics object or function, it should have a lot of properties. Now this is going to be actually a property already because it's coming from this object and it's a property or a key. So it may have different properties, and that property gives you anything you need related to mathematics that you may develop. But okay, we don't extend it that far. So if you have a little understanding of what a higher order function means, by the way, when I was teaching you, we used already when I was teaching this loops. Where was the loops? I don't know. Lots of the same names. Further on loops, yeah, this one. For each, where was the for each? Somewhere. Yeah, so this for each actually has it's for each by itself a higher order function. Have you seen? Because for each by itself is a function and it's taking another function. So it's a higher order function. Okay. The reason why I didn't teach you this for so long is because I don't like to mix. Where is it supposed to be closed? Let's see, this is coming up to here. Function. I have to use the console. The console is smarter than me much. 46. I don't see the problem. Yeah. Item. Sometimes you may. Yeah, so as you can see, we have a higher order function because the function has been used as in a parameter inside this for each method for the items array or for the array. Okay, great. Yeah, so if we talk about higher order functions, but let's talk about this, the functional programming, most frequently used functional programming, those are map, filter, reduce, sum, any, find index, something like that. I think this is quite enough. But I wrote some blog or something on LinkedIn or on GitHub also there is. And I think I can also take you there. It's a very good material to read specifically for that. Functional, yes, functional programming. So if you see for each map, filter, reduce, find index, sum, every. Yeah, I think we see most of them now. Okay. For some reason, I couldn't manage to find those countries. I like those countries, and I'm trying to look for those countries. But why we even care about? Because we have countries, a big countries list from 30 days of Python. Okay, let's go there and have the big list of countries, and that will help us even.
I think you have it in 30 days of JavaScript too.
Yeah.
Okay. That was one of the exercises.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go to data, and maybe I think I'm interested in this file. Okay. I didn't see it there, here. So I call it just like, or maybe I can store it data. I think it's good to store it in a proper way. So I may create a folder, data here, and then inside the data, I call it countries array, because I will have also an object.js. And yeah, here we have list of countries, almost all of the list of the countries. Okay, great. So, and it's also good to have a higher order, maybe functional programming, functional programming.js. Yes, so let's link that. Great. Programming, great. So here, let's see. We will talk about map, and you should think about what it means map until I write everything down. Filter, of course, this is straightforward. Reduce, and then find. Oh yeah, I forgot E. And find index and sum and every. Yeah, for the timing, let's focus on this. Okay. So, but I think I can start with a very small nums, and I can just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I ask you to produce this another array, which is like 1, 4, 9, 16, and 25. So what are you going to do? For some of the guys from the Python, you may say, okay, I can use list comprehension or something. Okay, but we're not in a Python lesson anyway. Okay.
Or loop.
For loop, yeah.
Yeah.
For loop. Let's do the for loop way. Let I is equal to 0, I less than nums dot length and I plus and console.log, and of course you have to have create a container and a new array. Yeah, this array should be empty for the time being, and we have to populate this. Yeah, so is that the plan?
Yes, so you push in.
New array dot push. And then we have to just multiply the values, not like this actually, nums and nums. I think I was a bit fast, so I may, even before I do this, I will show you a copy printer. I will show you something. Console.log. Let's print this out before we push it. Yeah, that makes it clear. Yeah, as you can see, 1, 4, 9, 16, 25. But instead of printing them out, it's better to populate them in the new array here. So in that case, we chose to do this operation, and that will help us. Then let's print out outside the loop the new array. Yeah, great. But we have this another beautiful array method, map. So whenever I will show you, so many people I just get a hard time to understand the map, but it's straightforward actually. Why? Let me show you something here, because the reason why I want to take more time, because it's really very important. Maybe I have to create another small boxes too. I think, I don't know. Okay, it would have been nice if they were similar, but it doesn't matter. So you have some item, okay? Imagine these are items. If I want to map these guys to a circle, you have to change them to a circle, all of them, okay? So it's gonna be maybe something like this. All of them will be just a circle, okay, circle. Okay, see, I changed them to a circle. That's the mapping. So the mapping was from a square to a circle.
A circle.
So here also the mapping was from a number to its square. So this concept remain the same in any JavaScript environment, while you are working on the front end or the back end, whatsoever. If you are using just vanilla pure JavaScript or React or Angular whatsoever, this concept remain the same. So if you have 4 items, the 4 items should be also mapped to something. Yeah. Yeah, that's the concept. So the numbers, the number of the items remain the same. Okay, remain the same. Okay, great. I think this is enough. I thought I removed it. No, remove the drawing. Yes, clear all my drawings. Great. So now, I think I don't need that. Okay, great. So is map clear, guys? The concept, we didn't use map, but is it clear, the concept?
Yeah.
Yes, we map something. For instance, you may have a chance to map also. If all these are also some countries to a city, to their city or to their population, we map to one. But the function is most of the time, it's a one-to-one function. One thing has to be mapped to another in any form. Okay, now let's use the nums. So the map, so nums dot map, yeah, function. And this also takes actually the item and index similar to, and then you will have something like this. And it return anything you want. At this time, we just multiply the item. And you should store this value now with something const xyz for the time being. I want to just show you console.log. So xyz should have, oh yeah, we mapped this value, but we should have very good name. Names square, for instance, we just squared it, but I don't have a very good name for this, but I just called that for the time being. So you don't have to call it anything. You don't just, everything what we did here has been stored in this variable. So we call it and we got the value. So we don't need this long method. We have this. So as I told you, we can make it even this smaller by using functional programming. And since we don't have many things inside here, we don't need this explicit return. And then again, getting shorter. And even I'm not interested in the index now. I don't need the index. So your function looks like this. I think I have to make it a bit bigger. Yeah. Map. Item. Hey, item. I want you to be squared. That's what you do. So straightforward. Well, what do you prefer? Do you want to write this or this liner, one liner? The choice is yours, of course. This is more elegant, and sometimes it's easy to solve some things using this functional program is called. Okay, now let's do the same, the filtering. A filter is, as we may understand, we just filter out data. So we can play with this, for instance, some are evens and some are odds. Yep. So const evens, I'm fond of even numbers. Nums, filter, hey, function, item, index, and then again we go and we return a boolean. Why this boolean? So the boolean is actually, so then if item divided by, okay, what's the division where? 2, and if it is equal to 0, that means it's even, right? So it's even. So now I don't need the in this part. And then as I told you, you can make it 2. By now your ninja or arrow function, and the arrow is so clean to write. So it looks like this. And now let's see if we have evens in here. Do you see evens, guys?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Can I ask you, so is the map like different way to do arrays or something?
What? The first, yeah, I missed the first word.
So you're using this map method somehow similar like arrays.
We are using similar to a loop actually. So the loop is under the hood. It works for you. It's a built-in function. So you don't write match. For instance, we can achieve the same thing like the filtering or the mapping using this. It's but here I have to, for instance, add if condition inside to filter out. Yes, this also works only for arrays, this method. As you can see, it's array. So I am working on this array. This method applies or works only for arrays.
Okay, yes.
Yeah. So instead of writing a regular and traditional loop, you can use this, okay? But if you solve your problem with this way or this way, it's okay. But after you get used to, you run into these methods. And at some point, I usually ask my students not to use any kind of functional programming, and I want you to solve it in a pure, regular loop, because that is sometimes hard to solve and it needs extra thinking. Sometimes the built-in functional programming, you don't have to think much to solve a very complicated problem. Yeah. So as you can see, to filter, hey, filter, I need you to work on this array, hey, then filter, and then we get this value. By the way, this name could be any name, and then the item should be divided by 2, and it should give a 0, yeah? Now let's do reduce. Okay, reduce means, yeah, you reduce of something bigger to a small portion or a small amount or a small thing to one thing. For instance, you may have a banana and banana, avocado and mango and guava together. If you blend all this together, what do you get?
A smoothie?
A smoothie or some kind of fruit juice, right? A mix of fruit juice. And actually this reduce also help us to change all this together. If they are string, we can concatenate them. If they are numbers, we can multiply them or add them together. So let's find the total. You can say total honest or let total. By the way, have you seen most of the time I use honest instead of let? Have you noticed that, guys?
Yeah.
Why? Is these guys are a constant value? Are they a kind of, I mean, a physical quantity? Is this a gravity or pi or any, I mean,
No, they are arrays.
Yes, so why arrays?
Because still it's a storage for other and needs to be fixed then. Not.
So do you think it's not okay to do it like this?
No.
It's okay. It's okay. The reason why I'm using the const because I don't have a plan to reuse the
variable.
Variable. That's why, because it's good enough to use, or I want to just, I'm not reassign the arrays, the objects, and the functions I'm going to create. But there are cases I have to use, even though it's an array, I may use array something like this. And then at some point, I may change the array value like this to something else if I want. Yeah. So
okay.
Yeah.
But I guess it's if you write it like that, if you just push to the array, then you wouldn't really need to.
Yes.
Then you could keep it as const.
Yes, but there are cases, for instance, if you want to empty the array instead of using any array methods, use something like this. Yeah, so it's you don't have to, but const, I'm using it for a reason. So I want you to know that reason. Okay, so let's move on. Sums, what was the nums? Reduce, it's the same. Actually, you have to have a function, a callback function, and then we have the here AB, you may call it, and then return A plus B. So nice and so easy. And if you print console.log, the total, I will explain this. I'm coming to that. 15. So you don't have to write for loop or whatsoever to know the sum of these values. You got it already, 15. And now you can just add anything you want. Okay, 50, 10, minus 5 or 0 or whatsoever, and then you get a value. Okay, let me show. We call this accumulator, and we call this current. Okay, this is the problem most of the time. What did you say? What accumulator and the current, and then a current. Okay, I know. I think you prefer more of the a row function. I prefer to, and okay, someone is joining. Welcome back. And now we don't have to have this. We can just return. We do the explicit return. Okay, let's do. Why it's stuck in there? Yep. So this is what you need. But let's just make our numbers small so it will be easy to know. Why I don't see that. Yeah, it's there already. Okay, maybe I think I have to do this in a traditional way. If you want to sum all these items in a traditional way, what do you do? Let's do it in a traditional way, okay? Tell me, let total, yeah, is equal to? I'm waiting, 0. For let, and actually now we have, I taught you already the, for this, the for of const, item in or num in of, sorry, in nums, we can say total is equal to total plus the num. This is in a traditional way. Now, if you check console.log and total. By the way, you can do this using a for loop, regular for loop, or a while loop, or for each, or for of. But I think for me, for of make it very simple, straightforward. Yeah. So tell me what's the accumulator here? What do you think the accumulator? Total is the accumulator, right? Because we have, it starts from 0, we have, and then every now and then the num is actually the current value. Let me show you console.log. It's good to use console.log once in a while. Have you seen now 0 plus? And then it's also good to show you this operation. Yeah, 0 plus 1, 1. Yeah, then we have 1 already. I can show you maybe the better way to show you here. String operator is good. Then we have num. Num plus total. But I think the total should be total. What is wrong in here? I forgot to close. Okay. Yeah. So total is when it comes in here. Of course, it was 0. It was not added. Then 0 plus 1, 2. Yeah, 2 plus 1, 3. 3 plus 1, 4. 4 plus 1, 5. Actually, not like that. Because it's not, it's the value coming is, yeah, let me see, because 1, it's, the value are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah. So 0 plus 1, 1, 1 plus 2, 3, then 3 plus 3, 6, 6 plus 4, 10, 10 plus 5, 15. Yes, it goes like this. So the accumulator is actually the total is the accumulator. Everything goes and sum up to the total, and this is the value that changes. So every time, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the point I tried to show you here is actually when we use the reduce function, it becomes so short. Accumulator, current, accumulator plus the current. So most of the time you may need this to make it 0. And if you have a plan to multiply this, you should change this to 1. Now, as you can see, all the numbers are multiplied 1 by 2. I think it's going to be 2, 2 by 3, 6, 24, 24 by 5, 120. So it's just straightforward. What do you think, guys?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, it needs repetition. There are lots of questions which you need to sit and solve. That will help you to make this clear. But now let's move on to find. Find is good. Find. For instance, if you are interested to find one of the value, you can use find. Const or let 3 nums find and item, and then you can say item is equal to 3. And I'm expecting here 3 because have you seen the equation already? This, hey, yeah, it's 3. Or if you change this to, for instance, I may, for instance, if you say find something greater than 3, it got 4. So it just give you the first value that satisfy this condition. Yeah, the first value that satisfy this condition. And this usually return a single value. This return a single value. This return an array. This return an array. I think now, especially today's lesson, this part, if you go for a JavaScript interview, this is the must. If you come for me for a JavaScript job, all the interview will be full of arrays, and you should expect that. You should be really good at arrays when all functional programming methods when you go to JavaScript or React interview. And everything related to React is all about map. So you should know map now. Okay, now let's see index of 3. Nums, find index, and the item. We can say item is equal to 3. Then I can say console.log index of 3. The index of 3 is 2. Let's see. 0, 1, 2. Wow, great. So it's straightforward, right, guys?
Still need some practice, I think.
Yes, it needs, but still now find index. It's just we're trying to find the index of a certain item. For instance, if I'm changing this to 5, I am trying to. So the condition will change. You can change yes, whatever. But now we are just. If it was countries or something, we are finding, for instance, Finland most of the time. And now, sum of nums, sum, no. Okay, let me show you this. Are all these numbers greater than 0?
Yes.
Yes. So greater than 0. By the way, this gives you a Boolean. This value gives you a Boolean. Print, oh, no. Console.log. Today I was doing good. I didn't think more in Python. Have you seen it's true? How about if I say listen 0, false? Because all these numbers are greater than 0, it gave us true. Okay, sum, it says sum. How about if I say greater than 2?
True.
Yeah, because some of them are greater than 2. Yes. That's true. Yeah. How about if I say this? Explain to me why.
The remainder, there are numbers in the arrays which are where their remainder is 0.
Yeah, so that means yes, some of the numbers, when they are divided by 2, their remainders are 0, and that means some of the numbers are evens. So we have 2 and 4. Some of the numbers are evens. How about if I change this to every?
False.
That every means all of them. That means all of them. So you use every. So as you can see, you just change the keyword. So every, it should satisfy all. But for instance, if I change this, num all are greater than 0, yes, that's true. Yeah, that's the only case now to make this every true. Yeah, now we have seen most of the functional methods or programming language. Okay, what is data and object? Do you have question related to this?
No.
No.
No. Okay. We don't see data structure, destructuring and spreading today, because that is a kind of a luxury kind of for today, but we will talk about later. But DOM, oh wow, today we have to touch the DOM, touching the DOM in your bare hand. Yes. Okay, let's do the set. Set also will keep it for some time later, but let's go for datetime object. Const new, we may say date, or maybe now, and you may call it date. So we will talk about class in another lesson, but actually there is a so-called constructor date, and we are instantiating that date object and creating now this now. You can call it now or current time, whatsoever, but the word now looks fancy, right? So console.log just now. And let's print and see what now looks like. Yes, it's Monday, April 19, 2021. Yes, 19. Yes, and 40. Yeah. So this is the time in my location. So we can actually reformat this time. Yeah. So we can get time, for instance, get full year, and then it's a method. So I can see 2021 and console.log and get month. What? Yeah, it's going to be 3. It starts from 0. Yes. Yeah, we are in the 4th, so you should add +1. Okay, console.log, and what is get day or date? Yeah, it's 19. And the day console.log now get day actually. And it gives me again 1, because today is Monday, and it starts from Sunday, Monday up to Friday. Yes. Okay, now more of so console.log, and now get hours, for instance, get hours. Yes, you can see 19, and most importantly, console.log minutes, right? Get minutes. So as you can see, it's a method, and all the methods have get. Yeah, get. So if I want some time formatting like this, dd, if I want, so what do? I can say Of course, I need the string. Yes, I love string interpolation. Yes, then I can just, but it would have been much better if we store this value like this, const year. Because the reason now I'm using const, don't have a plan to reuse that variable, const month. If there is a condition, then I will change it, yeah? And then a date. Yes, storing values. And then now I'm interested more on the hours and minutes. Hours, and then const minutes. I think there's lots of typing and you might be feeling overwhelmed. Maybe I can share this code with you on, yes. Now let me just put here, year, month, a date. Yeah, we can change the structure differently, okay? Oops. Oh no, console.log. Yep, as you can see, we have this version, or maybe we can also change the different version. For instance, most of the time what we know is actually date, and year is more formal. And even we can make a longer version like this, and we can add the hour and with the minutes. Yeah, as you can see, we have this version. So we can make use of the this time object. You have all the time object. What you need is just whenever you need time object JavaScript. Yeah, the Mozilla Development Network is the official, and even this one has lots of them. You can just go through step by step whenever you need. Don't read about date time. Just use it whenever you need. Yeah. And for a proper formatting, for instance, there is this ago, some 1 minute ago, or maybe 2 minutes ago, this kind of formatting. We have this library called moment, and we will learn that when we start React. Yes, great. I think it's another break time. What do you think? Another 10 minutes, okay? Let's have a break.
Thanks.